If you want to be better looking as a dude, grow a beard. Period. It's one of the quickest, easiest things that you can do in order to automatically boost your looks and sex appeal. Unless you are making some of the mistakes that we're going to go over in today's video. Because unfortunately, a lot of you guys have effed up beards. I'm just being honest. Today I'm going to go over what you're doing wrong, how to fix it, and how to grow a thicker beard. So the first thing we got to talk about is how to get a better, thicker beard, all right? Number one is time. Time a lot of times will solve a lot of the issues. As you mature, as you get a little bit older, your beard typically will get a little bit thicker, but not all the time. But most of the time, you just waiting a little bit will help it thicken up. It also will basically come in better as you age. Number two is testosterone. If you boost your testosterone, oftentimes your testosterone will fuel facial hair growth. And so a few ways you can do that. Eat better. All right. One of the things that's hurting a lot of your beards is your diet. If you're eating a diet that's low in like good fats and it's high in like saturated shit fat and all sorts of not good stuff, your beard is going to reflect that. The more protein you eat, the more good fats, the omega-3, 6, 9, avocados, nuts, salmon, this is actually going to fuel your beard to be better. Also, micronutrients. Take your multivitamins. A lot of the vitamins out there are going to help your beard come in better. All right. A few, or I should say one in particular, is biotin. If you start supplementing biotin, it is a great way to basically not only fuel the hair on your head, but to facilitate facial hair growth as well. A few other things you can do, all right? Brush your beard with a boar's bristle brush every single day. What this is going to do is help train your beard. If your beard is a bit patchy, it's going to help cover some of the patchy areas, but it's also going to stimulate the blood flow. The more blood that is flowing to your face and facial hair, it's actually going to facilitate growth. What does not facilitate growth is shaving. Shaving your face does not make it come in thicker. Two other things you can do, gentlemen, is Rogaine. Rogaine does work. There have been a bunch of studies of dudes putting Rogaine actually on their face, and it will actually improve the facial hair. But if you want to go with a more natural option, you could go with this, all right? This is a new product that I just launched at Pete Pedro. It is called Boost. It took us 9 months to develop this serum, but it is the best on the market. I basically went down the rabbit hole and I worked with a chemist to develop the most powerful natural formula I could that was going to stimulate and help hair grow, not to mention help prevent it from falling out and just give your skin and the follicle the boost that it needs in order to do what it does best, which is produce amazing hair and get it to grow. Guys, this is an amazingly powerful product. We've infused it with biotin, castor oil, rosemary oil, peppermint oil, nettle extract, vitamin C, like the list goes on and on and on. Hit that link down below and go read our ingredients and why we actually packed it with what we did. And then do your own research. Don't just take my word for it that this is an amazing formula. Look it up. Like, does rosemary oil increase hair growth? Like, look it up. Like, do your own research. Is rosemary oil very comparable to Rogaine? Yes, it is. There was actually a study that showed that dudes that applied Rogaine to their face versus rosemary oil got very similar results. Rosemary oil is, I'm telling you, it is a rock star. This product is the best oil serum on the market, period, guys. It works, like I said, not only to make your beard thicker, healthier, softer, more luscious, it also works on your head. And that's the reason why I actually developed this, is because I tried using finasteride and I had sexual side effects. And so I look for a natural option to help me basically stop the hair loss and to regrow the hair in the front that I was starting to lose, all right? It was subtle, but I noticed it and I took action, because the sooner you catch something, the better off you're gonna be. Guys, I'm gonna link the Boost down below. Go check it out. This stuff is the best. So number one is beard oil. You need to use one. If you're gonna be rocking a beard, whether or not it's a stubble beard or something a little bit longer, you've gotta be using something to condition it, soften it, make it shiny and sexy every single day, or else it's gonna look dry, and a dry beard is not a sexy beard. The next mistake is a long, straggly beard. This is one of the things that kills your good looks. A wiry, thin beard looks terrible. Cut it shorter. If you've got a thin beard, cutting it short is actually gonna make it look a little bit thicker. You can also dye your beard if you wanna make it look thicker. Dyeing your beard is one of the things that you can do to have an instant thicker beard, because not only is it gonna dye the longer hairs and the dark hairs, it's actually gonna dye the blonde light hairs as well, and it's gonna make your beard look significantly darker. The next mistake is not giving your beard enough time to grow. If you're somebody that wants to grow a beard, gentlemen, do not cut it off too soon. You gotta let it grow, all right? By letting your hair grow for about 4 weeks to 6 weeks, this is really how you're gonna know how thick it is, how luscious it is, or what you need to do in order to change it or modify the style. You've gotta just let it go. 4 weeks, all right, minimum 6 weeks, let it grow. But what I recommend is definitely trim the neck. All right, neck beards are the next mistake we got to talk about. If you've got a great beard and it's just crawling down your neck, it looks like you're sloppy, it looks like you did it on accident and you look homeless. You've got to edge it up, but you can't make the biggest mistake that every guy does, and that is edging too high up on the jaw. All right, that is the #1 biggest beard mistake that I see guys making that destroys their look, and that is carving up too high. Head straight, take your finger, boom, shave below, leave above. You need to camouflage that double chin. If you can talk and see exposed neck fat meat, right, it's not a good look. Also, up here on your cheeks, don't let your hair grow up your cheeks also. You've got to edge it up. Your cheek, all you do, a straight line from your ear to the corner of your mouth, shave above, leave below. The more natural you can allow your facial hair to grow, the better off it's gonna look, which brings me to the next mistake, going too thin. Don't go too thin. It looks unnatural. The next mistake is mustache hair. Don't allow it to grow into your lip, all right? Or around your lip, or curl into your mouth. It's disgusting. You gotta trim it up. You gotta make sure you can actually see your lips. Sideburn transition. The next mistake that destroys your look. If you're somebody that has a bald head and you have a beard, the worst look like ever is when you have like this hard straight line at the top of your ear. You've got to feather it, you've got to transition it, you've got to blend it. It should transition from hair to bald, all right? But a hard line is terrible. Also, the round beard. Another mistake that destroys your looks because it makes your face look fat and chubby, all right? And that's, like I said, one of the things that makes beards so sexy and amazing is that it can actually strengthen your jaw when done properly, but it can do the opposite and make your jaw look softer if it's big and fat and round. Instead, you want to make sure you are feathering it, all right, and trimming it to go down at a slight angle, like a V, all right? You don't necessarily want something like super long on the chin, but you need to basically allow it to look more like a diamond as opposed to a half circle. Another mistake that I see guys making is dyeing it like too dark. All right, they'll like go like jet black and they've got like salt and pepper hair, they're gray or they're blonde, and it just looks ridiculous, incredibly obvious. A little pro dyeing tip I'd like to give you is cut the time in half. If you find a color that is similar to your hair color, which you should look for, right? If you're a medium brown, go medium brown for the beard. If you're black, go black, you get what I'm saying. But what the instructions are gonna say is leave it on for X number of minutes. What I'd recommend is cut that time in half. You can always do it again if it's not dark enough, but you can't undo it if it's already like too dark. And in my experience, when you actually leave it on a little bit less time, it's gonna make some of the natural grays come through a little bit more. It's gonna be less dark. It's gonna be more natural looking, all right? Give you an example. I dyed my beard a few days ago. It looks super natural. You can still see some of the gray in there. The time said to leave it on for 8 minutes. I left it on for 4. It's a more natural look. Now, a few other little pro tips in terms of facial hair real quick before I let you go off and be sexy is a big fat goatee is not stylish. A mustache is stylish. I personally think a mustache with a really short stubble and a little soul patch is the sexiest. They call it the beard stash. Sideburns, you need them. If you have a hair style, right, you don't have a beard, you need sideburns, all right? Just letting you know, like don't cut them off too high. Another mistake that basically kills your look is cutting sideburns off up top. You gotta make sure it comes down to about that middle little thing on your ear, and then, in my opinion, angle them slightly to follow the line of your jaw is the most stylish version of sideburns, all right? But you need them, all right? Letting them grow super long, unstylish. Now, if you've got long hair, this is the one exception. I think longer sideburns do look best if you've got longer hair like past your shoulders. But for most dudes that don't do it, all right? Shorter, tighter, cleaner, sexier. Gentlemen, bottom line is this. Beards are sexy if you rock a sexy beard. If you make any of these mistakes that we talked about in today's video, your beard ain't sexy.